The saddest words in life aren't, "I failed." The saddest words in life are, "I wonder what would have happened if I tried." Imagine that after your final day on Earth, before whatever comes next, right? You're invited to walk through a museum. And it's this giant building, marble floors, high ceilings, silent halls. At first, it's all familiar. You begin reading the plaques, and you start to recognize, wait a minute, that was a business that I never started. It was an idea that I spent some time thinking about. Continue down the hall, you see a book that was never written. On stories that you thought would be cool if they got out to the world, but never quite got to the forefront of your priorities. A giant mural showing a relationship that was never pursued. An exhibit with a city that was never moved to. A conversation that was never had. An apology that was never given. Exhibit after exhibit after exhibit, a version of yourself that never existed. And every exhibit carried the exact same title. Quote, almost. You keep walking, room after room, hall after hall, almost, 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 almost. You recognize the faces. They're your faces, but different versions of you, different timelines and possibilities. Not fantasies necessarily, not impossible dreams, things that surely could have happened. Things that wanted to happen. They sat on the edge of your life for years whispering. But fear and comfort and the need for certainty, they all whispered just a little louder. And suddenly you realize this isn't a museum, this is evidence. This is evidence of every invitation life extended that you declined. Evidence that was impossible to grasp on Earth. But nevertheless, evidence that existed all along. And this thought experiment weighs heavy. This is where it gets personal. When I think about the museum, I don't think about YouTube necessarily, or speaking. I don't think about the things that worked. I think about the things that pushed me way outside my comfort zone. Things now on the periphery of normal, on the fringes of life. One being my apparel company, AGNS. Always grateful, never satisfied. Because if I'm being honest, there are easier businesses. Far easier. Businesses with better margins, less inventory, less complexity, less risk. There's a million roads that would have made more sense on paper. But every time I tried to walk away from that idea, the idea of building a brand and apparel around it, a community of people that believe in something and want to rep that idea, something just pulls me back. Not because it's logical, it doesn't have to be, but because it means something. Because it represents something. Because every design, every message is another way of expressing what I and the people in my circle believe. Sometimes I ask myself, what happens if I don't do this? Not if it fails, but what happens if I don't do it? What happens if I choose a safer route or a more practical, predictable route? Immediately, my mind goes back to that museum. I see an exhibit behind glass, a brand that could have existed, that could have changed things or stood for something. A community that could have formed, people that could have connected, lives that could have been impacted. And that plaque underneath that says, almost. That scares me more than failure, and it should scare you more than failure as well. Failure's part of the ride. But becoming a spectator to my own potential, watching something meaningful remain trapped in possibility, that's terrifying. Now expand this museum, right? First lesson is obvious. Look at the things you've been avoiding: the business, the book, the call, the move, the dream. The thing that keeps tapping you on that shoulder. Stop pretending you don't see it, because one day you may have to walk past it hanging on a wall, and that's painful enough. But the second lesson is even more unsettling. Imagine walking into a room you never expected and seeing exhibits that shock you. A painting, a company, a mission, a life, a contribution, something extraordinary, and you start thinking, wait, that was available to me? That was all possible? That could have been my life? You never pursued it because you never imagined yourself capable. You played small and made assumptions, essentially accepted a definition of yourself that was too narrow. You never even applied or explored. Not because you couldn't, and that's the billion-dollar detail, but because you didn't believe that you could. And suddenly the museum becomes far more than a collection of missed opportunities. It becomes a collection of stolen identities, versions of yourself that never got introduced to the world, not because they weren't real, but because they were never given permission to emerge. That's what I want this museum to remind you. Not what you've wanted, but rather how little of yourself you've explored. Think about how many rooms remain unopened. Think about how many gifts remain undiscovered and possibilities that are hidden beneath versions of you that are playing it safe. Because I'll reiterate it, the greatest tragedy isn't failing, it's graduating from life without ever meeting that person you could have become. One day we will leave this museum behind. The question is not whether your name will be hanging on the walls. The question is whether those halls will be filled with exhibits or empty with places you turn that possibility into something meaningful. May your life be so fully lived that when you arrive at the Museum of Almost, you walk through its halls as a stranger, because everything that belonged there you brought into the light. One thing I've learned over the years is that consistency usually doesn't break because we lose motivation. It breaks because we leave too many things to chance. You can have the goals, the plan, the discipline, but if your day gets busy, suddenly it's 2 p.m. and all you've had is coffee and nothing else, that's when momentum can slip. And that's why I'm so excited to partner with today's sponsor, Huel. That's Huel. I've been loving their Black Edition powder. It's a meal replacement, not just a protein powder, with 40 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, and 0 artificial sweeteners. When I'm moving fast, I can shake it. Under a minute, I'll have something ready to go. I can also just grab one from the fridge. But when I have a little bit of time, and this has been pretty cool, I've been using it in some simple recipes. Lately, I've been making protein French toast with it, and it's become one of my favorite ways to get quality nutrition without overthinking it. It's like one less decision, one less excuse, one less thing standing between me and the standards that I set for myself. And if you're like me and you can only eat your vegetables when you throw them in a blender, I've also been using Huel Daily Greens drink alongside it. So get Huel today with my exclusive offer, 15% off online using my code Eddie at huel.com/Eddie when you spend $50 or more. New customers only. Thank you to Huel for sponsoring this episode, and thank you for being here. One day, it will all make sense. As one Steve Jobs said during a Stanford commencement speech, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. Your job isn't to know, but to trust that someday you will. It's to have the courage to paint in real time a portrait that will be ever evolving. It's the strength to be wrong, the resolve to rise to your feet time and time again. Because one day, it will all make sense. And you'll see. You'll see that the roundabout, often confusing, unpredictable road you walked was the road you had to take. It made you who you are. And you'll see that all those challenges forced you to become someone that you, at one point in your life, never dreamed you could become. You'll see that those people in your life, the ones you clung to, the ones you saw as permanent fixtures in that ever-evolving story, they were merely temporary, supporting characters, there to teach you about yourself and the world before exiting stage left. You'll see that the scariest things weren't the failures looming around every corner. They were the magic never created for fear of what lurked around those corners. You'll see that dropped into the heart of even the most violent storms, the darkest of nights, you always had enough to get out. Sometimes the steps were too small and the progress too unremarkable to notice, but those clouds, at one point or another, always ended up behind you. In life, the game itself becomes the instruction manual. To understand, you have to play. To learn, you have to go. Therefore, a life well lived can't be about having all the answers. You're crafting them with every step you take. It's about trust, it's about belief. Not in a defined trail, but in your ability to blaze your own. I encourage you, as you navigate the day-to-day unknowns, to remember how strong you are. When you're frustrated at the hand you've been dealt, when you're hurt, when you're saddened by something that's transpired, remember that you can handle it, that there's meaning in the pain, in the chaos, right? Because I know our default isn't to smile and mentally transport to the value that the pain will someday bring, right? I get it. But you have to know that you can, one, make it through the chaos, and know that, two, there will be a point in your future when you look over your shoulder and appreciate the turbulence you endured. You'll be grateful because of the beauty, the meaning, and the happiness it ultimately brought to fruition. That's what makes life worth living. You'll be grateful for the struggle because it empowered you to push further into life. It taught you to not only endure, but to find meaning in suffering. To ultimately create something beautiful out of the very thing you wanted to run away from, but didn't. See, life is not all one thing. It's an oscillating wave of circumstances. And you'll see at some point that every second mattered, in the sense that it gave you exactly what you needed most when you needed it. So trust that the road will be unpredictable, because that's exactly what the road will be. But also trust yourself to be someone who navigates the foreign waters ahead. Someone who points the compass straight towards the horizon. Because regardless of the world around you, that's exactly who you are. I woke up this morning with two thoughts. One, you can make today whatever you want to make it. And two, one of my usual reminders, life is not that serious. Now, why is this important? Why is it the framing I so often need? Well, to put it simply, I put a lot of pressure on myself, right? As many of us do. These deadlines and these goals, they hover over me, they guide my decision making. And, while that allows me to operate at a high level, there's also a flip side. Right? From time to time, it makes me feel like I'm navigating a maze. And I slip into this tunnel vision that makes life seem almost procedural. And every so often, the freedom and the beauty slip away. I forget they're there. So to be reminded of life's abundance, its breath, is healing. It's like step outside your day-to-day. Try something new. Lose yourself in something. Undergo that audit that cuts away the things that have made their way into your life that add no value. The day is yours and no one else's. Life's not grading you on a 1 to 10 scale. So give yourself permission to explore. Green lights to make mistakes. To adventure, right? For the sole sake of the ride. And it's not even a me thing. When I live with an abundance mindset, I'm able to be a better version of myself, which means I can better help others. It means I can show up the right way for the people in my life. See, we need to remember that we are freer than we think. And why we need to be perpetually reminded of this, I'm not sure, but we do. It's incredibly easy to fall in line and turn autopilot on. Right? Then the situation becomes mundane, even counterproductive, and we just submit to it. We say, oh, this is life. No, it's not life. And in fact, by adopting that mindset, you're forfeiting the greatness within yourself and the greatness that surrounds you. You're ignoring the very reason you are here, bowing to the dictator that is safety and monotony. Are you personally growing, progressing? Are you challenging yourself? Are you finding the courage to step outside the box, the walls you've built around yourself? Are you spending time with the people who matter? Are you seeking out peak experiences? Because you not only can do those things, you should. And every morning, that sun coming up should be a reminder that all of this in life is available to you. The caveat being no one gives you permission to pursue it. As the saying goes, no one comes along and saves you. It's up to you to look out your window and see not confinement, but possibility. To inject yourself into the meaning that is available to you. Today is yours. So long as you find the courage to make it so.
There's a saying that just because you spent a long time making a mistake doesn't mean you need to continue making it. There's an incredible advantage in life for those who can separate past and future. who can recognize sunk costs and walk away from the past, move on to new things. But here's the challenge, right? Like so many things, our instinct is to preserve. It's, yeah, but I've invested so many years. I've spent X amount of dollars and maybe I don't like where I'm at, but look how long it's taken me to get here. Well, here's the reality. That time is gone. That money is not coming back no matter what you do or what direction you take from here on out. There's no reason to think you have to maintain the same trajectory or hold on to a specific identity or pattern of behavior. Yesterday isn't the focal point here. The goal is simpler. What matters now, and how will you get there now? You've grown, you've evolved, you've changed, and your targets have shifted, so why shouldn't you? The idea of sunk costs is so important because it's essentially realizing that you're not indebted to the resources you've spent or exhausted. There's no need to be a slave to previous decisions that you've made. No, just chalk it up as an integral step in your learning process, an aspect of growth, and move forward to what matters, to what you care about. And if that seems obvious, I challenge you to think about the decisions you've made over the last year, and I guarantee you've let factors affect your decision making that are irrelevant to your goals. Because we feel this camaraderie with yesterday, like there's a debt to be paid, but man, life is too short to run in place. If it's not pushing you forward, drop it. If it's not what you need, forget it. In other words, don't be one of those people that wakes up and makes the same mistake every single day because you've spent a long time making it. See, reality only exists in your head, and that's why it's beautiful. You can unlock the cell door and walk out. Don't lose sight of the greatest gift you have. The new beginning that lives in every second, where you can take a turn you've never taken before, remove the mask and play a role you've never played. Let that sense of excitement pull you to new things. Let go of what you can't change and pursue what you can. Forget the time spent. Think of now. Where can you invest now? Your surroundings didn't magically arrive. You chose them, and you can just as easily take that wheel and leave. Simple formula. What is best for you, and how do you get there? Not where you feel obligated to be or expected to be or pressured to be. Where do you need to be? Everything else is noise. Everything else is a rope keeping your ship on shore, and you are not confined to that harbor or yesterday's destination. You're built to chase the horizon, follow your curiosity into the sunset. You don't make decisions based on yesterday's story. You sculpt it with tomorrow's possibility.